Now, you would have thought Prince Harry's failed coronation appearance would inspire him to keep a low profile for the foreseeable future. But my next guest insists the Ginger Whinger will be moping back to Montecito with an even bigger chip on his shoulder, with those Californian cruise missiles set to rain down on London even harder.
Let's be real. The coronation of King Charles III should have been a moment of history, unity, and continuity. Instead, thanks to the Sussexes, it turned into yet another backdrop for royal drama. Harry swooped in solo, sat through the service with a thundercloud on his face, dodged his brother, and bolted back to California before the bunting even had time to settle. Meghan, of course, stayed behind in Montecito, but she didn't let the spotlight drift too far.
And before, fresh off the back of Meghan's hiking PR stunt during the coronation weekend, where she pretended not to have a care in the world, including posing for paps wearing Princess Diana's watch, esteemed royal author Tom Bower insists the Sussex psychodrama is about to get even nastier. So, Tom Bower, what are you expecting?
Well, I think that, as we predicted, she did a stunt. It wasn't a very good one on Coronation Day. But what's really going to happen now is they will plot something which will really hit the royal family in a way, because I think Harry went back pretty angry, clearly. And what really worries me is that the royal family is now a moving target, a soft touch. Charles showed that he won't answer back. So whatever is thrown at him, he's just going to take it. And I think this is a real danger now.
The thing is, Harry is clearly furious. He clearly feels humiliated. But what else was he expecting? I mean, he was not prepared to go to the coronation lunch. He was not prepared to stay for the concert, for example, which is an opportunity where he could have been in attendance. It was more his sort of thing. So what was he expecting the royal family to do?
Well, he expects them to apologise. He expects them in his naive, stupid way to think that somehow it's all going to fall his way. And on the way back across the Atlantic, he'll have realised it hasn't gone his way, and think, well, what am I now doing, can I do, to make their life really infinitely more difficult and embarrass them? And I think he'll take comfort, as will, unfortunately, Meghan, from those who say that the balcony was too white. They'll take comfort from the fact that somehow they're above. They've thrown in the racist...
well, ITV said it was terribly white.
Terribly white. Shouldn't it be terribly black in a white country? I mean, it is just appalling. And unfortunately, we've reached a point now where the anti-monarchists will keep on pushing this colour issue, because the monarchy is easy to touch. We've reached now a point where, unless somehow Charles makes it clear that he's not going to sit around defenceless and silent, that the anti-monarchists like that, and Hobie, the actress from Bridgetown, Olusoga, the Marxist historian given a free run on BBC, will just keep hitting, because they've reached a threshold and they now want to go further.
But the thing is, Tom, so much of that is the fault of Harry and Meghan, spreading what even they admit is false claims of racism within the royal family. I mean, you look at the Bridgerton woman, you look at Olusoga on the BBC and ITV, they are Harry and Meghan allies.
Well, Olusoga was in her Netflix programme. And that's the whole point. They actually, I don't think Harry, because he's not intelligent enough, but Meghan and her Netflix producers clearly see now this is the next step to undermine the monarch Charles, undermine King Charles, and somehow find a way in which they can destabilise Britain.
Do you think that's why Meghan didn't go? Because now she can say, I am not approving of the royal institution, that's why I didn't show up?
Of course. She didn't come because, I put it very simply, she didn't want to curtsy to the Queen and to Kate.
Staging her own PR stunt with a hiking photo shoot, conveniently flashing Princess Diana's watch for the paparazzi. According to royal biographer Tom Bower, none of this is accidental. In his view, the Sussex psychodrama is far from over. In fact, it's only getting nastier. And is not mincing his words. Harry left London furious, humiliated, and spoiling for another round of attacks on his family.
Worry, Tom, is that it sounds like King Charles, at least when he was the Prince of Wales, is very much listening to those people. This fascinating revelation today from Guito Harry, who was the Director of Communications for Boris Johnson last year. Charles criticises the Rwanda scheme. According to Guito, Boris squares up to him at this Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Rwanda. but critically also says to Charles, do not give this speech, opening the door to historic reparations over slavery. Charles ignores him and goes up on stage and does exactly that. And now he's king, and he continues to open the door to historic reparations.
Well, that
for
has
slavery.
always been my great, one of my great arguments against Charles in my book, The Rebel King. It was always that he can't stop meddling. He has opinions. He will not allow his opinions to be challenged. He will never listen to anybody else if it doesn't agree with what he believes in. And he has this view, because he leads a privileged life, that somehow that sort of that Rwanda is wrong. But the truth is that if the Tory government sends the first plane to Rwanda, then Starmer is toast, because suddenly everyone will realise the Tory government can do what they like, what they promised. And this is where King Charles has a great problem. I don't think Prince William will have that, but Charles, having spent 60 years campaigning, cannot stop campaigning. He can't stay quiet. And that is my great fear. And the truth is about King Charles, that for years as Prince of Wales, he took absolutely no interest in the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth is endangered by Prince Charles. He was forced to go to Africa and parts of Asia. And he really has no relationship with the Commonwealth. He doesn't want to travel there really now either. And so I think what we're going to see, which is very interesting, and I think we even saw that today, that King Charles plants a tree up in Sandringham, but Prince and Princess of Wales do the heavy lifting at the garden party.
Well, yeah, I wanted to ask you about William and Kate, because they had a spectacular weekend. Very much united behind Charles now. That wasn't always the case, was it? But that is going to be a huge help for the king.
Well, we saw that the moment Harry peeled off, that they delivered a united front and buried their differences, and the differences were...
It's almost like Harry saved their relationship.
Well, saved it. And in the end, it was also survival. I'm sure the Queen said to William, you really got to make up...
The late Queen.
The late Queen, because it's vital for the survival of the monarchy. But I do think that Prince William has a very different approach. He's not an interventionist. He doesn't think about politics and things like his father did. So it's going to be very interesting, but also difficult to see how the king will interact with the political leaders and what William will do. Because, of course, Charles, in William's position, didn't stop interfering in politics.
No.
And that's now going to be...
William won't be that stupid. But I think the key question is the one that you've already raised. Will Charles be able to help himself? Because it is notable that one of the first people who he had for a sleepover, for want of a better term, at Windsor Castle when he became king. Apparently he's going to be doing this more often, you know, inviting people from various parts of the world, showbiz, sport, that sort of thing. But the person who he had on the first of these was Keir Starmer and his wife.
Yeah, and he does that because, quite rightly, he's got to pretend or show neutrality. The real problem is, what does he discuss with these politicians? Does he try to influence them, as he did with Tony Blair in favour of fox hunting and things like that? In my view, he will not be able to hold back because he has got such pronounced views. But he will put himself in the firing line of the diversity brigade, of the people who...
Yeah, because it's never going to be enough for them.
Exactly.
It's never going to be enough for them until he's not on the throne.
Exactly.
And that's what he's got to start realising.
Exactly.
Powell predicts more cruise missiles from California, calculated PR moves, fresh interviews, maybe another Netflix project. Meghan will keep positioning herself as a global leader of anti-royal sentiment, while Harry will go along to preserve his lifestyle. Every time the monarchy projects strength, the Sussexes will look for new ways to undercut it. But there's a catch. The British public is tired. Tired of the drama. Tired of the accusations. Tired of the endless psychodrama. In the long run, the monarchy's strength is precisely in its ability to outlast temporary storms. Harry and Meghan's constant noise may generate headlines, but it doesn't generate respect. And respect, not celebrity, is what sustains a crown. Here's the truth at the heart of all this. Harry had a seat at the table of history. He was born into an institution that, for all its flaws, gave him a platform to do real good. Invictus, military charities, global influence, the potential was limitless. But he traded it for grievance politics and Hollywood deals. He chose drama over duty. And while that might sell books and streaming rights in the short term, it won't secure legacy in the long run. Meanwhile, William and Kate embody the opposite. They are not perfect, but they understand that monarchy is about service, not self. That's why they are winning the long game, while Harry and Meghan risk being remembered as little more than a noisy distraction. As Tom Bauer says, the Sussex psychodrama isn't finished, but it doesn't have the power to topple the monarchy. All it can do is further erode Harry's standing until, one day, people look back and see not the war hero or the cheeky prince, but the man who turned his life into a Netflix soap opera. And that, in the end, is the greatest tragedy of all.